just for the video, P is directly proportional to Q squared. P is increased by 17%. What happens to Q? So, ladies and gentlemen, just clear something out. I do see people have written, which is good. P equals KQ squared. Now, you might be confused as to how do I work out K? Well, if you are requiring numbers, you don't need to work out K. You can just say what you want K to be. All right? You only need to work out K if you are given numbers and you have to, and that's now set in stone. So if I wanted to, I could just make it nice and easy and say P is equal to 2Q squared. And that's it. And I could use that to come up with numbers. Right? It doesn't matter what K is to answer this question. All right? So if you are going down the route of wanting to do numbers, all right? Well, now, for instance, I could pick a value for P and work out what Q would have to be to maintain that relationship. So, for instance, if I did Q and P, right? If Q is 1, P would be 2. All right, if Q is 2, P would be 3. 8.
Oh, so
Yeah. Didn't I say yesterday, someone, like, when I said someone, I meant everyone apart from one person. All right, and if Q is 3, P is 6. What is it? 18. You forgot the 2 times this time. Q squared, 3 squared is 9, but that's it. All right, so I've got some numbers. I chose K, that's fine. I found some numbers. They are related in that way. That's fine. But that doesn't answer this question. Because that is times 2, that's times 3. Neither of that gives me a 17% increase. So you need to, if you want to go the number route, you need to think, what would it be multiplied by what for a 17% increase? Over to you. So, you know from previous work on direct proportion, if it's direct proportion, if you multiply one variable, you also multiply the other one. But this time, it's proportional to Q squared. Now, it is in the book that if you multiply by C, then the other side gets multiplied by C squared in this case because it's squared. So if I got my Q and P, if I multiply by C, in this case because of the squared, it will be multiplied by C squared. Simple as that. If this is multiplied by 1.17, this is multiplied by 1.17 squared, which is 1. 3,6,8,9. So answer the question. What happens to Q?
multiply.
The question is increased by 17%. Q is increased.
No, that's
By. Nope. Both, because it's the same thing, right? 1.17 squared is 1.3689.
that's supposed to be 2 times 1.1.
No, I haven't got any numbers in there now. well, let's just come this, I'll go back to the number in a second. Right, come on. Why is an increase of 17% multiplied by 1.17? Okay, so what do I do if I multiply by 1.3689? I increase by? There you go. 36.89%.
Does that always work?
Yes.
Oh, this I get it.
Okay, let's just if I multiply by 1.3689, which we've just figured out that's what's going to happen, as a percentage, that would give me 136.89%, which is an increase of 36.89%. Okay? That bit at the end is not direct proportion, that is you interpreting decimals and percentages. Okay? So if you're struggling with that, that's something to go back and look. Now let's just, so do you see I haven't had any numbers at all for P and Q there? I've just used the facts that you were given, that if it's direct proportion with a square, if I times by C, I times by C square. Okay? Alright, that was it. Now, let's just confirm, let's do it very quickly with my numbers. Okay? Because you could have done it this way. So, for instance, I know that if I multiply by 1.17, see, there's no getting around it, you have to know that. But I get 1.17. If I can't figure out that bit, multiply by what? I have no idea. Alright? What number would go there? Well, I said that P equals 2Q squared. So how can I work out this number?
Human.
So P equals 2 times 1.17 squared. Okay? Now can you see already without even working that out? That's 2. This is going to end up being 2 times, so times 1.17 squared. But let's say that I don't even realise that. What is 2 times 1.17 squared? 2.7378. Okay, so let's put that here. Oh, I did not. Sorry. So let's write that one here. So this will be 2.7378. So I know from 1 to 1.17 is a 17% increase. But what if I said 2 to 2.7378? Could I work out what percentage increase that would be? How do you work out a percentage when you know the two numbers? There's definitely an increase, so how do you work it out? Again, something that you would have done in M1. Okay. So we have a 0.7378 change. Divided by
200. Or 2.
divided by 2 times, and what do you get?
36.
36.89%. So it's an increase of 36.89%. So even if I didn't spot all the other things that are going on, I could use my knowledge of percentage increases and things like percentage change, and I could just work it out. Well, if I add 17% this time, look, well, that's adding 36.89. That would answer the question, even if I didn't really understand what was going on in terms of the other side of it. Does that make sense? Yeah? Yes.
Before when you wrote the working before, did you put the P and Q in the?
I copied it.
Like there? This isn't a P that's increasing by 17%.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Should have, yeah. All right, should we, give you another one to do there? I'm sure joy and happiness.
Can't wait.
Okay. T is inversely proportional to S cubed. T is increased by 43%. To S. Because I want to move on, I want to give you a chance to practice people maybe at different levels. Let's have a look. So, sorry, I did do it the other way. So if I do S and T, if S is increased by 43, okay, you multiply by 1.43. What happens to T? Right, we don't want to do it that way. Remember yesterday I said, when you do the percentage thing, we still want to multiply. Now, inverse is dividing by the same thing, but we actually, because it's a percentage thing, when you increase or decrease by a percentage, you multiply still, not divide. Right, that's how we do it. So what do I multiply by? 1 over 1.43 cubed. Alright? So with direct proportion, it's just multiplied by the same thing but cubed. But if inverse proportion, it's just 1 over it. Right? Now, we've still got to interpret that, which is, what is 1 over 1.43 cubed? What do you get?
0.34197.
34197. Okay. So this gets multiplied by 0.34197. So what does that mean?
Like percentage.
Yeah.
So you put it into, so you do like 0.34197 over 2 multiplied by 100, and that is 17.09%.
Then he does still have that.
Just times by 100.
Oops, I still got 70.
That's 34.
So let's do 34.2% rounded, but you still have to answer the question.
No, so then T decreased by 34.
Almost.
No, you have to do 100 minus 34.
Minus 34.2%, which is
65.
65.2.
That's a decrease of 65.8%. So that's the final step, is interpret what that says. So I figured out that it is multiplied by 0.34, which means it is 34% of what it was, which means it's a decrease of 65.8%. Okay? Make sense? Yeah? Quite simple now, isn't it? So basically, right, the summary of this, which is in the textbook, for direct proportion, if one side is times C, the other one is times C, not necessarily, direct proportion, alright, or if it's proportion but squared, we do times C and times C squared. If it's cubed, times c cubed, sorry, yeah. I'm just writing. Alright, if it's inverse, times c times
One.
times c times c times. Okay, so that's basically what you need to remember. The one is multiplied, so that applies if it's not percentage. If it's just if one's doubled, what's the other one? Well, if it's direct proportion with just basic, double it, double it. If I double one side, I quadruple. 2 squared is 4. If I double this side, I times by 2 cubed, which is 8. All right. So that's the summary of what we've just done. Now, just so you are good to go, all right, for next time, your next thing is practice 3, page 397. All right, that can be your work for next lesson. If you feel like I would like to get ahead, you could start. All right, so if we just have A proportional to B, A proportional to B squared, A proportional to B cubed. Now this would be A is proportional to 1 over B, A is proportional to 1 over B squared, A is proportional to 1 over B cubed. Okay, just yeah.